that the Lake Elsinore station serves that aren't part of those two cities. So Temescal Valley, Lakeland Village, Good Hope, etc. And so I wanted to kind of give you that introduction so you understand when I'm going to explain some of the staff that I brought over. Tonight we're going to talk about, give you a little bit of education on the homeless crisis in our region, in our state, in our area, some of the things that contributed to it, some of the things we've been doing as a law enforcement agency, some of the things you can do as a community, kind of go over some commonly asked questions, and then open it up for some general questions at the end. I'll hang around at the end, so when the formal presentation is open, or over, I'll be around if you have any questions. We brought some staff here. The person giving the demonstration tonight actually is assigned to the Lake Elsinore Police Department, and that's the reason why I explained to you the different contract services. Lake Elsinore, each city, as funding and resources become available, can have special teams and different resources to attack certain problems. So one benefit we get from myself overseeing both is I have Rob Glasser, who's going to give the presentation, who's assigned to the Lake Elsinore contract. So primary in his regular duties, he is the quality of life officer, the community services officer that tries to get resources together and staff together to handle different homeless issues in the city of Lake Elsinore. But as you know, we're a small region here, and so what happens there bleeds over into Wildemar and the county, etc. So for us, I'm able to use really good sources and really good information with the people, and so when they're not doing their regular duties, I can, if I have hours set aside for Wildemar, I can have them come to meetings like this on a as-needed basis, or create sweeps like we did the other day, using the same staff and different pots of money, so to speak, to get two things done at once and be able to get more bang for our buck. So I wanted to kind of show you what it looks like, because as resources grow in the city, we might be able to get our own dedicated POP team and quality of life deputy in the future, and that is my goal, so that we can better serve you guys in Wildemar. But for now, we have to make do with what we have, and so I wanted to kind of show that distinction. But today, who I brought with me is, we have, step up here, Roxanne, just out so they can see you. This is Roxanne Baca. She is assigned to my station, and she oversees the Neighborhood Watch program for the county. And so a lot of you, she puts on meetings at the station, so even if you have a Neighborhood Watch program in the cities, she kind of coordinates that. She is a county resource, but we oversee it for the whole station, so we kind of get an added benefit of that. And she was actually one of her ideas to try to get this community meeting here for Wildemar specifically. So thank you, Roxanne. That was a great idea. And then we have Rob Glasser, who's our community services deputy, quality of life deputy, we call him, for Lake Elsinore, who basically has been entrenched in the homeless situation, so to speak, as kind of his #1 attack, getting resources together, creating meetings, actually going out there and enforcing, researching ordinances, looking at case law to make sure that our city and cities are not being put in a situation where they'll have a lawsuit. And we're going to explain some of the roadblocks we have when it comes to litigation, ACLU, etc. And then we have Officer Mike Kramer and Officer Ron Baudet, and they're part of Lake Elsinore's problem-oriented policing team, POP team. And so they're a team that's outside of regular patrol, and what they do is they can handle issues and problems that fall outside of normal patrol operations. Patrol is, you have a call for service, we send somebody out. They have limited time to solve your problem, and usually it's fix it for the night and go to the next call, or respond to emergencies. That's our general patrol operations that we have here in Lake Elsinore. POP teams and specialty teams that are outside of that have the time to look more into long-term problems and try to solve them, working with property owners, working with other county and department agencies to maybe tackle a nuisance house, etc. And we're able to use some of those resources as we need to kind of spot hit certain problem areas. You've seen we've cleaned up some areas doing that, but we don't have a dedicated team. So again, I just want to kind of show you this is something that we're going to aim to get to. But for now, since we are a contract city, I have the benefit of using those resources, because I always joke at meetings that because I'm two personalities, I'm the police chief of Lake Elsinore and the police chief of Wildemar. As the police chief of Wildemar, I asked the police chief of Elsinore if I could borrow their team to do a presentation for my city. And the police chief of Lake Elsinore said, sure, go right ahead. They could even put Wildemar patches on and come on over and interact. So that's a benefit we have right now, and I'll continue to do that as best I can within the resources each city provides me so that I'm being fair to both cities. So with that, I think I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to hand it over to Rob, and then I'll be around at the end if anybody has any questions. Rob?
Thank you, Kevin. Good evening, everyone. So we'll go over a little bit about what we're doing here in the city of Wildemar, what we're doing in the city of Lake Elsinore, what we're doing in the region. I already broke it. There. Right button. Okay. No one said I was good at computers. This is my contact information. Even though I'm assigned to the city of Lake Elsinore, if you have a specific question, if you have something that you want to run by me, if you have something that didn't look right or looked great, please let me know. I'll do my best to answer your question in a timely manner or your concern. This will be at the last slide as well, so if you don't get it right now, it'll be there again. Well, let me jump into it. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been with the department going on 11 years. I've worked in corrections division. I've also been on patrol, and now working as a quality of life deputy. I get this opportunity to talk to all of you. So what is the draw to the transients? Well, they like to gravitate to public areas. And if you think about the city of Wildemar and how it's built, the main public areas where we are right now. You have the State of Brothers on Hidden Springs and Clinton Keith, and you've got the Albertsons right here next to the hospital and City Hall. So they're going to go to places that they are going to get the most bang for the buck, the high traffic areas, shopping centers, gas stations. And what they're doing is they're looking for the opportunity crimes. And what I mean by opportunity crimes, it's not just the panhandle. While you're shopping in Albertsons, they're going to go and they're going to check your door and see if it's open. If you leave your purse, leave your iPad, leave your cell phone. If that door's open, they're going to take that opportunity to try and get it. I mean, that means that that's either a tradable item or something they can sell at a pawn shop. And so that's what they're going for. So they're going to be drawn to this area. So what's our involvement? Well, in order to have a crime, you must have a victim. So many people are afraid to take a call. They'll post it on Facebook. Who's part of all the Facebook groups? Okay, so how many times do you see someone saying, oh, there's a strange person in the neighborhood, or this person just rang my doorbell? All the time. Now, when we run those calls for service, we don't get those calls. We don't have a dedicated deputy to sit there and monitor Facebook. We don't have a way of doing Facebook reporting yet. But here's the bad thing with Facebook, and I think Facebook is great for getting media or information out really quick. But let's say this gentleman posted in the Wildemar Locals, and Mr. Mays, you posted in one of your groups, and sir, you posted in another group, because you all part of these groups. Now, it looks like there's a rash of these people doing it when it's only one person. And it was an isolated incident, and it just happens to be the ADT guy trying to make a buck knocking on your door. And it happens all the time. It happens here, it happens in Lake Elsinore, it happens in the unincorporated areas, Moreno Valley, Paris. Those things happen. It's just because of the media. So remember the old game telephone? So that's basically what Facebook has become for those things. But in order for us to go out and investigate, we need that phone call to our dispatch. And that number, 776-1099, is going to get you to Sheriff's Dispatch. You must desire prosecution. So if you're at coming out of Coldwell Banker or coming out of Starbucks and some guy's harassing you for money and you feel uncomfortable and you call it in, hey, there's a transient. Okay, cool. If you don't want to press charge against them, I don't have a victim. If someone checked your door and you came out and your door's unlocked or your door's open, nothing's gone, but you see the guy that was in your car and you shoo him along, you don't have a victim. All right, so we need to have a victim. You need to have the desire to prosecute this person for disturbing your peace, or for harassing you, or for whatever it is. You have to have a victim in order to do it. And that means you have to satisfy a person's arrest warrant. Plain and simple. State of California.
I don't know if you're doing questions, but when they're panhandling, is that illegal?
Well, and that's we'll get to that,
Okay.
because panhandling has changed. Panhandling has changed in the eyes of the law. You know, someone who's panhandling, and I'll answer that question real quick, and just kind of sitting there, hey, do you have any change? No, man, I'm sorry. Okay, thanks. He walks away. No, It's when you have that coercion, that fear, hey man, I need some money. Here, that's, yeah, now you have a crime. But if you don't call it in, it's not a crime. We don't have, you're not a victim at that point. So, the issue needs to be reported immediately on top of that. Otherwise, we are unaware. So again, Facebook, you have to have the desire to prosecute. Be a good witness, it is just property. So if someone is going rifling through your car here at the shopping center, at the gas station, it's just property. Remember that, there's no reason that your life in danger. You know what you're dealing with, who you're dealing with. Some of these people that are out there do have mental illnesses, sometimes they are on drugs. Yeah, I carry a gun everywhere I go. And if I see something happening, I'm with my family, unless it affects me, I'm just gonna be a great witness. So if something does happen, then the police come wherever I am. Yeah, this is what he was wearing, this is what he looked like, this is what he did. I'm not getting involved. If it's someone else's car, even if it's car, hey, there's someone in my car right now, he's wearing a black shirt, gray beanie, blue jeans, you give that information. Is a cell phone that's replaceable worth it? That's, to me it's not, but you gotta answer that for yourself. Lock your car doors. I mean, how many times, I could say in the years that I worked here in Willamar, people running into the dry cleaner right here, leaving their car running in the subway. That's a crime of opportunity. You don't know. We don't know what these people are gonna do. We don't know what the next person is gonna do. I know, since everyone's on Facebook, I know we've all seen those videos of the guys that do the prank where they'll leave a cell phone next to a sleeping person or a bike, and they, will set off a shock on the cell phone or an airbag on the bike, or it could be anybody. You don't know. You just don't know what your neighbor or what the next person's going to do. Our dispatch is going to ask a lot of questions. They're going to ask a lot of questions for a lot of different reasons. If Deputy Bodea, Deputy Kramer just happened to be in the area, and you just say it was a male, who was Hispanic, 6 foot tall, well, that's kind of ambiguous. But if you can tell me it was a male, he looked Hispanic, he was wearing a blue shirt with, that said famous on it, with black jeans, and give very specific information about it, we see that person walking down the street, we can now stop if we have a reason to talk to him because he fits this particular suspect. We have a reasonable suspicion that the crime has been committed. There we go. So the question comes in, why can't we round them up and move them? Sorry, I want to get all this on one slide. Well, it's called kidnapping under color of authority. I can't just take you guys, a group of transit and say, okay, hey, bus is here, get on the bus, we're driving you to California City, or we're driving to Havasu, we're driving you, wherever. We can't do that. Okay? We just can't do it. Well, why can't you hold them until they're sober? Well, we do. We do hold them until they're sober if they are arrested for being publicly intoxicated or under the influence of drugs. But you gotta remember, misdemeanor crimes are broken release. Technically, it's a ticket. Now, I'm gonna hold them until they're sober for a couple different reasons. I don't want a publicly intoxicated person getting out of my car walking in the traffic. Deciding it's a good idea to go on the freeway. Deciding they're gonna try to run across the street. Especially if they were in my custody, it falls on me, okay? So we're gonna do that, it's just for their safety and for the safety of the public. Now, what about people with syringes? I know people are concerned about the syringes. Well, the recent case law and the recent laws that have changed in the state of California, dropping a used syringe on the ground is littering. It's not illegal to have a syringe anymore. It used to be 4140 to this profession's code. If you didn't have his prescription for the syringe, then you used drug paraphernalia, you went to jail. And now, I'm diabetic. You are? Yep. Well, what do you take? Stuff? Okay. We can't get into that. They don't have to answer those questions because it's not a crime anymore. You throw a syringe on the ground, it's littering. It just is.
Isn't there a fine for littering?
There is a fine for littering. There is a fine for littering. But the problem is that if we're all in this room together and everyone gets up and starts to walk out, there's a syringe on the ground, whose syringe is it? I get into an encampment, there's 50 syringes on the ground. Whose syringe is it? I don't know. I didn't see them littering. They're on the ground. I can assume they're from them because based on their history, their charges, but can I prove it? I can't. So that's some of the things we have to take into consideration. Why can't we just arrest them? Well, being homeless is not a crime. It isn't. It's the things that come associated with being homeless is the crime. The acts that the transients do, the drug usage, the thefts, the panhandling, the public intoxication. Remember, with the propositions that were recently passed, does everyone remember the Safe Schools Act? A couple years back? Safe Schools Act, make our schools safer. Everyone, oh yeah, let's make our schools safer. Well, what happened is that took those felony drug charges, made them all misdemeanors. So if you have GHB, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamine, you know, anything that was used to be a felony is now a misdemeanor. So technically, here's your citation, press R 4 counts. It's really, really sad, and it's tied to our hands because that's a misdemeanor arrest. So yes, we'll take them to jail, but 4 to 6 hours after the booking process, they're going to be out again committing the same crimes. Now, the crimes associated with that is, I'm going to go steal that car stereo, I'm going to go steal that hose, I'm going to go steal that lawn ornament, because I can steal this lawn ornament because it's really cool, and I can get some dope with it. And it's unfortunate, but because of these laws and the shift, we're stuck with arresting, re-arresting, arresting, re-arresting for the same crimes. And by calling us, it gives us a reason to talk to them. Let's go back to that. Call us, call us, call us. It's your neighborhood. It's your neighborhood. I don't live here, you guys live here. Your neighborhood is probably different than Mr. May's neighborhood, it's different than that young lady's neighborhood, because you know your neighbors. And maybe some of you live in the same neighborhood. Talk to each other, get to know each other. Use Facebook as a tool. Hey, I saw this guy walking down the street. I've already called the police, be aware. All right? Just, you've got to keep vigilant on what's happening in your neighborhood. So, I'm right next to this. This is your neighborhood. Say no to the panhandlers. The Federal the Food and Drug Administration is the one that hands out the WIC cards, the cash aid, the general relief. They're also the ones that put up the sign that say don't feed the bears. You guys know that? And if you read the research on that, the reason they say don't feed the bears, and by no means am I comparing these people to animals, but they become dependent. I got to spend some time in Alaska a few years ago, and the day I was there, they just put a bear down in Juneau. They put this bear down because the people had been feeding the bear, and it became so accustomed to being near people that it became a danger. Because it became dependent, and when it didn't find the food that it was normally getting, it became aggressive. So we have to look at it in that way. We don't want these people to become dependent on our good nature. Let's face it, it's human nature to give to your neighbor. It's human nature to give if you have to give. That's just how we are built. We're built like that. But you have to learn to say no. You have to learn to say no, because they're going to become dependent. That's why they sit at that corner right here. That's why they sit at that island, because they know that you're going to give. They know that they sit there with their dog. I'm sorry, I'm a dog lover. Oh man, I'm going to give the guy $2 for that dog meat. Did you guys know that if you go to Animal Friends in the Valley and you're homeless and you have a dog, they'll give you free food? They'll give you free vaccinations for that dog. And if we arrest you and the dog goes down on patrol, you can go to Animal Friends of the Valley and say, hey, I can give you $1 a week. Can I get my dog back? Absolutely. They'll give that dog back. Because we understand some of these people, that's their only companion. But don't fall for that. The dog's hungry. I'd rather give for the dog than the person. That's just the way I've been. So if you are compelled to give to your local nonprofits. We have the SWAG here, representing the SWAG, and they're working with us in the city of Lake Outsource, City of Wildomar, helping out. They were a valuable asset on our suite this weekend, which I'll go into a little bit. Give to a church. Churches have resources, Catholic Charities, Latter-day Saints, Mountainside, the Hacienda. I can list a ton of resources, a ton of churches that have homeless outreach. They do it within their own community. Give to that. Give to your local church. Give to the food pantry. There's a Dream Center. Again, Catholic Charities, St. Martha's has a food pantry in Marietta. I believe there's one in Temecula as well. Maybe your local church has something they're working with. Give to them. Don't give to that homeless person because they're going to turn around and use it for something else. And don't get me wrong, there are those that are going to use it for food. There are those that are going to use it to get water. There are those that are just down and out. I'm not talking specific, just as a general statement. So what is the city doing for you? Well, we have community partners. There's a homeless coalition that meets every quarter. Working with the SWAG. CityNet was working with the McKinney-Vento funds. What McKinney-Vento did is that those funds were set aside by the state to put children and families that were displaced into housing. CityNet has got a contract with Temecula, but they were contracted with the city of Lake Elsinore Unified School District to manage the McKinney-Vento fund. And they were successful in placing 5 families into housing. Swag, what is our numbers for the region? Aaron, do you know offhand?
108.
108, that's how many people we've helped?
Yes.
Okay. How many people do we put in housing?
We have put about 67 in permanent housing.
In the region, right?
Yes.
So we are making a difference. Understand that every January we do what's called a point-in-time count. Those numbers are way low. When we did our point-in-time count this past January, as we walked into the Lake Bottom area, Lake Elsinore, people were running away. They thought we were going to arrest them. So those that did stick around and talk about it, I think we had a total about 126 in Lake Elsinore. I don't remember the number in Willamar, I apologize. But again, it's definitely lower than it is in Lake Elsinore. There's just not as many centers. What is it?
13.
13. No. So we're bringing in behavioral health. They have resources, trying to coordinate, just like any county resource, any county government operation, there's limited resources. So behavioral health, they're working with, my call is coming. Just like any other county resource, there are limited resources. So if they're working in Riverside one day, if they're working in Hemet, if they're working in Menifee, we have to wait our time to get them out here. And it takes a lot of coordination, but it's being done. And the more involved we're getting as a region, the more information, the more help we're getting from behavioral health and the resources for the county of Riverside. We're also doing the unannounced sweeps. We just did one on Saturday. We're getting warrant arrests and trespassing arrests. We're not going after you for being homeless. That's not a crime. But if you're sitting in someone's property that may live out of state, that may live locally, but it's a plot of land that's been undeveloped, you're breaking the law. You're breaking the law. You're trashing someone's property. You're cutting down woods in their property. You're cutting, if you're here in the shopping center and you're sleeping in front of the Caldwell Banker, you're interfering with the business of that business's day-to-day operations. You're going to be arrested. Now, mind you, we can't do anything at Starbucks. They don't desire any prosecution. Starbucks doesn't care. It is an open, safe place for anybody. It is. That is our new. You guys know Starbucks shut down for a day. And that was because of what happened back east where the 2 gentlemen that were arrested. There's more to that story that the media is doing, but Starbucks, being as progressive as they are, come as you are, we want you, we welcome you, you just want water and you want a safe place to sit, by all means. Now that's going to depend on the manager, but that's their culture and I can't force it. I can't tell them you have to sign a 602 letter, which is a letter of trespass for a business. I can't tell them to do that. That's their right, that's their option. So unless someone's making a disturbance and they want them gone, we can't force them to do anything like that.
Is Albertsons or Caldwell Banker?
This whole shopping center, yes, has a 602 letter. The cool thing about the 602 letter, when you go to the property management side, is that even though Starbucks is leasing that property manager still has control of the lien over this property. So they may have 5 feet. Starbucks has, from this door, 5 feet is their domain. If you're past that 5 feet, guess what? You're on the property management side. I can still arrest you. So we've also looked at responsible cash, and it's something that they coined give a hand up, not a handout. So again, it's working with the nonprofits. If you're working with a nonprofit, but you don't have, say, the financial ability to give, But hey, you know what, you can work on cars, and you're good at working on cars. Say we come across someone that, man, the only thing that's keeping me here is I need to get my alternator fixed. Great, know someone who can do that. You have the ability to make a blanket for a child or whatever it is. Donate your time, talent, or treasures. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be. As a station, we received a lot of donations during the Holy Fire. And we, water, food, snacks, stuff that's gonna expire before we are ever gonna use it. So we took a group of high school students who needed community service hours, and I think we loaded up 450 one-gallon bags full of snacks, waters, and we gave them the swag to hand out when they go out and talk to people. And it's a great way to break the ice. Hey, are you hungry? Hey, you guys work with a family, right? And they took part of that because they were hungry, and you know, these kids wanted to get back. They don't have the money, but they did have the time and they had the ability to do that. So the city just passed new ordinances to make the quality of life better, and it went into effect at the beginning of the month, and it's focused on panhandling and camping. Now, a couple of different things have happened over this month. The Ninth Circuit just ruled on camping ordinances. You cannot arrest someone for camping on public property if there are no shelter beds available. So, that being said, there's multiple places that people can go. There's the Coachella Valley Rescue Mission, there's the Path of Life, there's the Norco Mission, there's the New Start, there's the Hacienda, there's Set Free Ministries, there's Anchored in Christ. These are all good places that people go. Hacienda is a men's home, right now has 22 people in there and they have room for 75. So when I go to this person saying, man, I got a place where you can go, all you have to do is agree to it, I'll get you in there today and I will drive you there. Nah, I'm good. Okay. All right. Well, I've offered them that. There's shelter available, so guess what? You get to go to jail. You're trespassing, you're camping, you're making a mess, you're disrupting people's lives. Okay. So we have to look at that, and we have to look at the different options that are there. But the new ordinances have put into effect for that reason. Now, right now, we're not going out, we're not hammering the people that are panhandling, we're talking to them, we're educating. Hey, when we talked about this earlier, that come across Jamal, who's African-American gentleman that sits out in the little island right there on the way out. He writes and, God bless, anything helps. I've known Jamal for 2 years, almost 3. And today I pulled up and I'm like, Jamal, how many times do we have to have this conversation? I don't have this conversation as many times as my 14-year-old to clean a room. But you can't be here. There's a new ordinance in effect. You're going to get arrested. You're going to get cited. I've already arrested you for trespassing. Now we can cite you on the panhandle. You're going to have to move on. This isn't the place to be anymore. We're trying to make it better, and you're not helping. What can I do for you? What do you need? Nothing. Well, then I need you to move on. I'm going to educate them. I'm going to ask them. I'm going to tell them I'm going to make them. But that's some of the things that we're doing right now.
I'm sorry, so there's a law that states no more panhandling
No
there?
more panhandling there. That law, there's a couple laws that we can affect there. 22.5 of the vehicle code, which says no soliciting, vending within 500 feet of a freeway on-ramp or off-ramp. Here's the deal with that. How do I tell the gentleman sitting there asking for money versus the guy that's advertising D.R. Horton? Because if I do the one, I have to do the other. California's a Fair Hands Act. So you have to do the one, you have to do the other. So coming out of the private industry, if I was going to sue you for my equipment that you haven't returned, I have to sue everybody else for the equipment that you didn't return, or do I write it off? So right now, again, it's all educational. Once we start citing on the panhandling ordinance, we'll cite on that. But if I'm going to cite someone for 22.5, I have to cite the D.R. Horton guy. I have to cite the Fantastic Sam's guy, the Great Clips guy. So it's a double-edged sword. So what you do, and it's all discretion because it's an infraction at that point, is, sir, can't have you here. Just like I told that gentleman right there, I need you to move to the other side. On the other side of this island right here, this driveway, it's 517 feet. You're feel free to advertise right there. So we did a sweep, a multi-agency, multi-city warrant and trespass sweep this past Saturday. 54 arrests were made, 14 here out of the city of Woodmore. The 10 city that's over there, we arrested out of there. That's all private property with valid trespass letters. The signs that were once there have all been torn down because they know that if they tear them down, oh, I didn't know. You know, because you tore them down. Can't prove you tore them down, but you tore them down. 26 appointments were made with SWAG, and you guys met with Katie today. And so she says she wants to go to the doctor tomorrow. So Katie's a 7-month, how old is she, 30? 27, and she's 7 months pregnant, addicted to heroin. It's very sad. But we made a lot of headway. SWAG must have spent 2 hours with her on Saturday, talking to her boyfriend, who was also homeless. Babe, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta go. We got his buy-in, we just haven't gotten her buy-in. But that's the time, that's the thing that they're able to do, is spend that time that I don't have talking to these people to try and get them back on the road to recovery. So 26 appointments were made. How many of you guys have today? 8?
8 today and then a couple tomorrow.
And how many showed up today?
8.
8, okay. So that's not bad. I mean, 54, 8, what is that, 1/6? No. 1/7. No, 1/9. Sorry. 1/9. So, I mean, it's still it's still people that are willing to do it. It takes 70+ interactions to gain the trust for people. Gentleman named Dale Buss, and I'll give you his full name because he gave me permission to. He has been homeless here in Wildomar, Hemet, San Jacinto, Lake Elsinore most recently. Been working with Dale since January. And last month, finally after constant talking and begging and pleading and Dale, let me help you. I felt like Jeremy Murray, help me help you. Help me help you. He finally agreed. And now Dale, for a month now, has been living in a Christian-based house in Winchester. He's paying his rent. He was able to bring his dog. He hasn't used any methamphetamine. He hasn't drank. He is living the life. His daughter, who is also homeless with him, has cut ties with her because she kept bringing him down. Don't tell her where I am. I'm not going to tell her where I am. I'm not paying her phone anymore. I want to live my last few days in a house, clean, with food, in a bed, with my dog. He has an inoperable brain tumor. And so he says this will probably be his last Christmas. So he has finally, it took this long. He's 54 years old. He's going to be 55 in December, December 25th, or December 26th. He's going to be 55. It took him this long to come to the realization that I don't want to look like this anymore. But it's been constant, day in, day out. So it's not a quick and easy fix. And it's not the end of homelessness. These sweeps, all we're doing is reinforcing what we say we're going to do. You know, we all know those parents, you know, if you don't stop, I'm going to do this, but you never do it. Well, we can't be that parent. We have to go in and we have to say, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it. And we spend a lot of time, I know these guys spend a lot of time talking to people, hey, it's coming. It's coming. I'm not going to tell you when, but it's coming, and we're going to take you to jail for breaking those laws. And we make good on our promise. Now we're going to continue to do these unannounced sweeps because just like Facebook, just like you all have Facebook, they all have Facebook. So if we post that we're doing a sweep, trust me, there won't be any more homeless. They'll be gone. They'll be in Lake Elsinore, they'll be in Murrieta.
But do they really care?
Some do. Some do. And I'll tell you why. There's no honor amongst thieves. So you've got this nice setup camp, and you've got that Coleman lantern, that Coleman stove, or you've got the DVD player and the solar. Well, you don't know where my camp is, but I know where your camp is. Oh, you got arrested. I locked out. Guess what? It's now my Coleman stove, my Coleman lantern, my DVD player with a solar. So, a lot of, you know, it's one of those things where it has to continue to happen. It just can't be a sporadic thing. It has to be on a regular basis. But it can't be too regular. We can't do it every second Saturday because they're going to know we're going to do it every second Saturday. It's got to be done at a random level, but we have to have a plan. So I want to throw a couple photos up here. We did have a roll command post out there. All our detainees were brought there. We had multiple arrestees. we put up, because we do believe in the responsible compassion portion of it, they are still human beings, they still have human rights, we have to make sure. So we put up easy ups to keep them out of the sun, we gave them water on a regular basis. If you need to use restroom, in the bathroom. We processed them, they were able, when they got to the jail, they got a sack lunch, they were able to eat. Everything that would go along with being a normal human being, you still got. Just because you're arrested doesn't mean that we're going to treat you any differently. You're just not free to go. And we offered assistance to a lot of people. Unlike other sweeps that we've done, SWAG was able to talk to every single person there. And we had some people that said, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. I like my life. Okay. But we were there. They were there to give them that opportunity. If they wanted it, take it. 9 or 8 people showed up. Great. That's better than expected. I mean, we've got out where Aaron and I sat at McDonald's for 2.5 hours waiting for someone to show up. Because they said they were going to be there, but they got high the night before, or they just decided that, no, I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be normal. And you talk to some of the people, what's normal to us is scary. They've never lived it. This is what they know. They've burned every bridge with their family, with their friends. So they've been on the streets since they were 18. Their most vulnerable memories is being burned or being lied to, and this is all they know. Just like it would be abnormal for us. I mean, for me, camping is great, you know, unplug for a little while. You know, this is all they know. So going to live where you don't have to beg, you have to work, you have rules, it's abnormal, it's scary.
So when you arrest them, how long before they're released again, and do we follow up to see if they're going back to the same spots?
It's
or-
4 to 6 hours.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's 4 to 6 hours after your booking. So just to get a little insight on the booking process. So they're here, they're detained, we fill out all the paperwork, we get a transport van, we take them to the jail. Once they're at the jail, they go in through the booking process, we're assigned a booking number. We take their property, catalog their property. From there, they're fingerprinted and they're photographed. All that information gets uploaded to the DOJ. We wait to find out, and they run all that information to find out, are they wanted somewhere else? Do they have warrants in other counties? Do they have warrants in other states? Oh, they have a felony warrant out of Alabama. Are they going to extradite? Oh, they're going to extradite, so now they're going to be held. If they don't have any warrants in other states, or if they're only misdemeanor warrants, then once all the paperwork is done, they're processed, they're released. And they're released back to where they are comfortable. Now that
And
doesn't...
then they're driven back to where they want to go? I'm
No, no. If they have any money on them,
Yeah.
it's on them
Gotcha.
to get back to where they want to go. If they're indigent, meaning they don't have any money, they're truly, you know, I've got nothing, then Murrieta has a charter with the jail that they will provide them a bus pass so they don't stay in the neighborhood. You gotta remember, Hoytsburg Detention Center is smack dab in the neighborhood. You walk out across the street or 1 block and you have houses. So Hoytsburg Detention Center has an agreement with the city that if that person's being released, they'll give a bus pass or a taxi voucher to go wherever they want to go. Now, what people don't realize is that when I say they can go wherever they want to go, if they have family in Wisconsin and they want to go, they'll put them on a Greyhound and send them off. They'll send them off there, but that person has to want to go, and there has to be someone there to pick them up. Aaron and I have both personally have taken 2 people personally to the bus stop, and we have made arrangements to have family pick them up where they want to go. We've gotten the bus tickets and sent them off and reunited with family. So it's kind of a cool thing when you do that, because you hope that they're getting the help and the assistance that they need to get their life back in order.
I'm sorry, last question.
Yeah.
Shut up. What's the percentage of people with warrants? Lots of warrants when
So-
you're going through these sweeps?
54 of the arrests, of those 602 arrests, we also served over 48 warrants to go along with that. So there was a lot of warrants. Because you gotta remember, these people, we're gonna write them a ticket to go to court, they're not gonna go. They're not gonna go for 1 of 2 reasons. 1, they don't have a reason to go, they don't wanna go, and forget it, it's just a misdemeanor. Or 2, they really legitimately don't have any way of going there. I've given bus passes to some of these guys, bless her. I've got to go to court tomorrow. I have no way of getting there. I don't want a warrant. All right, man, hey, here's a bus pass. And I'll see you a few days later. Did you go to court? Yeah. They gave me probation. Cool. And, you know, they're doing that. Those people I can turn around and say, okay, at least he's trying. But then there's those that we're gonna give the bus pass to, and they're gonna trade it for something else. And then they have 4, 5, 6 warrants out for their arrest. And again, they're misdemeanors. But even though it's a misdemeanor, they're still to be booked on that warrant. It takes them off the street 4 to 6 hours. We're making good on our promise that we're going to make you pay for what you're doing, for the crimes you're doing.
Can I ask
So-
you a quick question?
Sure.
If I understand what you said, though, after they're booked and you check to see if they have any warrants, if they have misdemeanor warrants, they just get released again, correct?
Yes,
So you could have a bunch of misdemeanor warrants and you're still gonna get released again, correct?
to a point. To a point. There is a magic number at the jail that if you have more than that warrant and the deputy requests it, they can be held to their arraignment. If the deputy can articulate in his or her report and speak to a judge and explain why this person should be held, the judge can order them to be held until their arraignment. It takes time, and that's what the POP team's for, that's what I'm for. So in a perfect world, I would get every transient report that would come across my desk. I could sit there and I can write another case against them, saying this person has, 17 misdemeanor warrants. He or she's obviously not going to court. And the next time they're arrested, I can request that they are held until their arraignment. But even still, Riverside County is under a federal mandate to do early releases on nonviolent offenders just because of overcrowding. So even if they get sentenced, they're still eligible for that early release. But we're inconvenienced. And maybe that's the wrong term to use, the inconvenience. But at some point, you're gonna get tired of getting arrested. You're gonna get tired of being booked in. You're gonna get tired, and it's gonna be different for everybody. We had a speaker come out and speak about the homelessness and how mental health affects it. And the question is, they always have to hit rock bottom, or the statement is they have to hit rock bottom. Well, let's raise that bottom up a little bit. Let's figure out what that is. Let's figure out what the trigger point is. Let's figure out what we can do as a community. What is it? What is that trigger point? What's going to make that person say, I've had enough? Is it reuniting with their kids? Reuniting with a dad? Reuniting with a friend? Getting them an animal? I don't know. It's going to be different for every person. And we know that throwing money at it is not going to solve the problem. It doesn't. LA had $250 million, and they've got 130,000 people in the county of Los Angeles. 65,000 live in the city of Los Angeles. $250 million for homeless programs, $70 million lawsuits for violating civil rights. Something's not happening. There's a problem there. So what's going to be the solution? I don't know. But you know what? The solution for you is going to be different for the solution for you and you and you. Everyone's different. Everyone's going to have a different trigger point. It's like buying a car. What's important to you? Is it comfort, leather seats, or is it just a car that's going to get you from point A to point B? I don't know. We don't know until we gain that trust and start talking to people. Gail, for example, his trigger point was, I want to die in a house. I want to die as a normal member of society. And that's a morbid thought, but that was his trigger point. It wasn't his daughter. It wasn't reuniting with his brother or family. It was having his little dog with him wherever he went. And give her a nice yard to run in. Okay, and we found it, and it was there. Another young man named Aaron, was going to be with his dad, but knowing that his dad was going to forgive him for all the stuff that he did and running away to be with his mom. We sat there for an hour because he started freaking out, going to face his dad. We talked to Dad. We talked to Dad on the phone. Said him, I love my son. I want my son. Aaron, your dad wants you. Your dad doesn't care what happened. He wants you in his life. And that was his trigger point. So we don't know. But what's next for us? Well, it's going to be continued enforcement, the unannounced use. We have to get the property owners involved. If you know that the owner of a property is allowing this to happen, let us know. Let the city know. I thought I saw Keith Ross in here. Let Keith know. He's code enforcement. let him know so that they can go out and they
Answer his
can.
phone. I got a question.
Yes, sir.
I called Keith a lot of times, he never returns my call. I
Okay.
have
That's
another
wrong.
question, beyond that.
Yeah.
When you go into an encampment, like the vacant property over there by the AMPM and everybody's restaurant, who's in charge of cleaning up that biohazard mess they left
That's
behind?
gonna be on the onus of the property, and that's.
Why?
Because they're allowed it to happen.
Because they allowed it to happen.
But they're out of state.
Still falls on the onus of the property
Why,
owner.
why don't the people are the ones that littered, how come they're not in charge of picking up their own litter?
No,
It
that's,
doesn't make sense.
unfortunately, it falls on the property owner. Okay, and I understand your concern, but.
Yeah,
it's-
that's gonna go into our
these-
water table.
Understand that these are the same people that are living like that.
You've been down there?
I've been down there many times. But understand, these are the same people that live like that. Do you really think they care? They don't. So that's what the continued enforcement, putting liens on properties, making them responsible for what they're doing. We need to take it, the property owners need to take that active role. They need
So
to
if we
take
see
that.
somebody trespassing, we're supposed to call the police and let them know that they're trespassing?
Absolutely.
From the first time they walk on that property?
Absolutely, especially if there's a 602 letter there. Now, part of my job with the city of Lake Elsinore, and I did it here in Wildemar just because I was doing it, I found out who the property owners were, and I sent out 602 letters. I sent out a letter stating why we needed this sign, what this was gonna do for them, what this was gonna do for the community. I sent out over 135 letters to property owners of the vacant lands that own 19, 20, 30 acres out here. Of the 130, let's just say 140 letters I sent back, I received, or I sent out, I received about 110 back. So people are on board with it. So we just have to use our resources to do it.
What about destruction of public property?
What's the public property?
Like how they take apart the walls to sit on the
Block walls.
stoops. I blocked that block right there from McDonald's. 2 days later, they had another
That's
one
not
there.
public property. That's private property. And if they don't want, if they don't, let me finish this and we'll address those issues, okay?
Isn't
I'm the
that
owner.
county property
Okay.
though, all those retainer walls to keep those parking lots flat when they did all that grading? That's not,
That's all private property. So let me just finish this and then I'll address anything and we'll address it as it comes up. Continued enforcement, so the unannounced sweeps, community education such as this, doing a sign campaign, say no to panhandling, no trespass, no loitering. Do not give to them. Police tend to stay abreast of current case law, and that's the hard part, is case law changes on a daily basis. These judges make different case laws that tie our hands in handcuffs a little bit. So now we have to get ahead of that and figure out, okay, how are we gonna untie our hands? What can we do to change this? And so that's what part of my job is stay on top of this. And, you know, work in relationship with the ACLU. They're the big key. The ACLU is involved, believe it or not. So one of the things we're doing, just so you have an idea of what we're doing in Lake Elsinore, because of the fires, we put together a flyer, how to get on board Rivco, so in case of a flood, in case of a debris flow, these people are aware that they can get alerts to get out of the area. I know it sounds silly, but we need to make sure that set is happy, because they're the ones that are gonna make the biggest waves if something was to happen. So this is constantly changing. This changes daily. This changes hourly sometimes. Because SB 9 just passed, which makes street vendors legal. So someone saying, oh, I'm selling these things I made, I'm not panhandling, I'm just trying to sell my music, I'm just trying to sell my bracelet. Well, guess what? You're right. In practice, you're a legalized street vendor. City Hall's right down there, you can go apply for a business license. So you have to know how to combat those things that happen. It's not an easy thing, and this is not a solve-all. This is just an idea of what's going on, what we're doing, to try and make it better for you all, to make life better for those that are displaced that want the help.